yeah, okay. So essentially, so this is on the Bitcoin US dollar index, still on the 1 hour. But quite a useful thing with this is if I go through kind of like drawing in the lines, the support and resistance lines a bit, quite a useful thing is to go up to a higher time frame, say the 4 hour, and within that kind of look for kind of liquidity zones, liquidity points, areas, whatever. This particular approach, I would say, I was kind of inspired a bit by BlockPro, who Save mentions from time to time on Crypto Saving Expert, and so he is an absolute expert trader, and this particular thing with setting these lines of liquidity zones and so on, very much I kind of learned that from him really some time back. Hopefully he doesn't mind me just kind of picking that up and running with it, but I think he talks about so much else as well. I don't think he'll mind at all. But anyway, yeah, so finding these sort of things, so that he talks about double top again with well. That's kind of a key point. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, so finding these sort of things, so that he talks about double top again. I think let's type in a quick message.
Sorry, I think I'm back now.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, hello.
All right, hello again. Right, let me just. Yeah, sorry. As it came back, the volume got added. Right, I'm sorry. Sure. Sorry, you're just talking about BlockPro and.
Yeah, I was just saying. So I was just going through setting support and resistance levels, and in this case, going into the 4 hour, like going to a slightly higher time frame. Before I was on the 1 hour, and I just mentioned that some of this particular approach was kind of inspired a bit by what BlockPro often talks about with these things over on Crypto Saving Expert, and so yeah. But I was also just saying that he talks about such a lot of other stuff as well. I'm sure he won't mind me just kind of picking up this particular approach and running with it somewhat. I think in particular, as I saying, using this in combination with Quadzilla seems to be particularly effective, I think. So yeah, just sort of found a high, that double top, and working its way. It seems significant as a liquidity zone, and still in play, I think. Even though this kind of completed that particular.
Okay, so you're on the 4 hour. You're on the 4 hour time frame there, yeah.
Yeah. So what I find is quite effective, quite useful, is going up to a higher time frame like the 4 hour, and putting in these lines, and then coming back to the lower time frames like the 1 hour or 12-minute or whatever. So in this case, yeah. So put that one in down here. That seems like a fairly good place to put this as well. And having mentioned BlockPro, I'm sure that if he happens to watch this, he might be cringing because I'm getting the levels wrong or something like. Don't put that line there. But this is just.
I pretty much guarantee he won't watch this actually, but
no. So yeah, I think that one there, that seems like, because there's obviously there's some liquidity there. It bounced back from that point, so there's something going. Yeah. You could expect that to still be significant. And in fact, if we kind of just go back in time a little bit, it seems like there it was a pretty significant support line as well. And even here, you're
looking back in the past for multiple touch points and maybe instances where the actual price reversed at that point. Is that the kind of thing you're looking for there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just some sign that that this is kind of as significant as we think it is. But in this particular case, I think it's so kind of stark in the way that stands out. It obviously is a significant liquidity zone just there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, put that one in as well, and maybe potentially there. Well, that one, maybe it might be a bit. I think that price structure played out,
Yeah,
didn't it? So whatever liquidity was there may have already just been played out. So but then again, it might come into play again, depending. So, and then short sim, yeah, maybe there. I mean, it's, because it's, so I'll draw that one in. Gives us a bit of a set of ranges to play in. I mean, you could end up just drawing lines everywhere on these things. Gets a bit too fussy, but just to illustrate space that there as well. Other things potentially we might look at would be like I tend not to use trend lines too much. Used to, but I've sort of got out of the habit of using them. But sometimes they can be quite handy. Like here, where did I draw that from? Maybe from the open, that kind of thing. Because you could potentially see a price structure that.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I do sometimes find with things like trend lines and patterns and stuff is like you can pretty much see what you want to see, can't you?
Yeah.
And you can squeeze something into it. If you watch Crypto Lifer in the afternoon, he can make a symmetrical triangle out of anything, or an inverse head and shoulders. It's like. And you look at it, you think, well, yeah, but you can do that almost anywhere,
Yeah, it is true. I mean,
the idea of trading
head and shoulders patterns, I tend to just ignore a bit anyway, because I think they're a bit too fussy, aren't they? A bit too kind of. Well, it may have played out strongly once, so therefore it hinges on that particular trader's mind. Sort of after that. In this particular case, well, maybe not in this particular case, but I often find drawing in a trend line to match up with one of the support or resistance lines can be quite useful. You can kind of see that there's going to be sort of there's going to be a squeeze. It's going to be a short or a long squeeze coming up at that point, and it often does play out. That you're going to get a sudden kind of almost violent surge up or down from that. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen here. That might give some indication here, maybe, that that's just going to bounce its way up along that line. But then again, I think if it breaks through that line, who knows? It might just carry on sideways, or you might feel that if it breaks through, it's just going to drop back down. But yeah, you're right. I think I'm maybe potentially just trying to. It's just using animal entrails to try and predict the future. That's in that particular intestine landed across that one, so that therefore we're all going to be millionaires or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I'll take that one out for now, actually. But just I thought it was quite interesting that there is that kind of. There's kind of an upward trend there for definite. It's almost kind of hidden within that. So yeah, essentially here then. So this, just while we're there, just on Quadzilla itself. So the trend shield came into play a bit there. It was kind of saying, don't if you think about shorting, don't do that just yet, because there's still potential upward momentum, and it started to fade out. Just on that bit, and then obviously, in fact, so the point at which you might, if you really wanted to short there, because looking at that, just having drawn in these kind of different areas to for the price to play in, you sort of feel like that would be, it had broken down below that line, so it would be quite likely to sort of come down at least to this line, having just drawn it in, it says a bit after the event. But just for example, so in which case you'd be kind of watching this, and it starts to fade out. So maybe at that point, it's faded, and you think it's likely. So that's virtually a sort of, yeah, I was warning you against going short, but probably now think about it if that's what you're going to do, let go if you're going. So I think somebody in Telegram was asking about these, wasn't he, in the group? If I go, so just to, this is a slight kind of segue into this, just having looked at those. So over here, the tooltip for the trend shield kind of explains it a bit. So so this one being the bars since above 90 up. So the price, in the third paragraph, be aware that the price will likely reverse before the shield goes away, because Stochastic 4 has to curve back below 90 before it stops painting. So to get in early, look for reversal candles, and Stoch 1 or Stochastic 2, wait for them to start curving. And then it, so that explanation is then what the transparency of the trend shields is based on. So in other words, if the Stochastic 4 has to curve back down, so to get in early, look for so if there's a reversal candle, then it goes slightly transparent. If Stochastics 1 and 2 have already started to curve round, then it goes more progressively more transparent. So the transparency is basically just a representation of that. So it is like if you want to take the risk and get in early, then, because usually the move starts happening while the trend shield is still drawing on that last bar. But if it's transparent, then it's you could certainly consider opening the position then, given the other things to take into account. Anyway, that was a slight just digression into that. So having drawn those in then on the 4 hour, we could go back to the 1 hour and just get a slightly clearer picture then. So what's your feeling at the moment in terms of this? I mean, also that there isn't much volatility, there isn't much trading volume at all.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a strange weekend. I think the temporary pullback on July the 4th has probably finished. That's my kind of feeling about it. Apparently, statistically, July the 4th is generally a dumpy day, apparently, which I didn't know.
Okay.
And I must admit, I wasn't totally prepared for. Having seen on Quadzilla, having seen the green background on the 1 hour time frame yesterday, at that bottom, whatever it was, has given me quite a lot of confidence to think that we will go up for the time being. But obviously it is weekend, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But my instinct is that my feeling in my testicles is that the price will probably go up for a little bit.
I can feel it in my waters. Yeah.
well, sorry, you're obviously more polite than me. Yes. But by the way, talking about those trend shields, I did notice that Lee in the comments on the video I did yesterday, he was saying it'd be great if we could have an alert when the triangles stopped appearing. And I was thinking there's something wrong with that. And I was thinking, like, what's wrong with saying that? And I realized it's like having a doorbell that rings every 5 minutes when there's nobody there. That wouldn't be very useful, would it?
No, it'll keep you on your toes. But yeah,
I suppose. Well, yeah, and that made me think that what you actually want is a doorbell that rings every 5 minutes or every minute, depending on the time frame. So a doorbell that rings every minute when there is somebody at your door, and then when the bell stops ringing, that means they've gone away and it's safe to leave the house without having to talk to anyone. So that is the best analogy I could come up with. Yeah. So a doorbell that
if you've got a neighbour, a neighbour who talks for too long, if they happen to catch you as you're leaving,
that's it. Yeah. So when the doorbell stops ringing, it's time to you can leave the house safely. And I think that's unfortunately how you're gonna have to do it. And I think Lee was talking about it'd be great if you had that like when you were at work doing other things. To be honest, if you're trying to catch a bottom with crypto and trying to enter a trade, don't do it when you're at work. I mean, unless you're 100% sure about your entry, but no one's going to be that sure, are they? Or if you're the sort of person who sets a trade and then walks away and lets it do its own thing with a proper stop loss and all that, if you're doing that, that's a different story. But for those of us who are kind of like avidly watching the chart, trying to catch the bottom or catch the top, it's probably better if you aren't working, especially if you're like driving or something. If you're driving a train or you're a pilot, no, not good.
But part of the issue, I think, with the whole thing about setting a trade and walking away, I mean, I would love to to have that presence of mind, I think, to be able to do that. But it's also just put a stop loss in, and it's as if the market kind of knows that people do that sort of thing. So it's always going to wick down. There'll be a violent wick down, and then the play upwards just kind of stop everyone out before off it goes.
Yeah, I must admit my stop loss discipline isn't very good actually. I do use them, but I use them after everything's settled a bit, because of that, because I don't want to get the the violent wicks just wicking me out and then it's all over, but I think stop losses that you set and walk away, those work really well with people who are like really good traders, and they can afford to use like I don't know, large position sizes, and they're I don't know, but basically not me.
Often if they're playing with somebody else's money, it's
but
really takes the psychological aspect about it, or plays a different psychology, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. But the kind of the more sort of mental stop loss of actually just at some point you have to accept, no, I was wrong, I'm going to cut this trade, take the loss, and then look for another one. That's you do have to have that. Don't hang on to a losing trade, whatever you do. But
very much. That's definitely where a stop loss really helps. I find it does take that the emotional aspect out of it. It just
I did totally derail you there, by the way, when you were talking about.
Oh no! I mean that was quite a big part of this anyway. To be honest, it just so in terms of I suppose so we got the support and resistance levels lined in. Also, if anyone in the chat wanted to ask a question or post opinions, like Maff, you're full of crap, or something. I don't know, anything constructive like that. Just.
I think we're on our own actually. It says there's 7 watching.
Got people watching.
Okay.
There are people watching. It says.
Yeah. Say hello, someone.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. Maybe everyone is driving or whatever.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah.
Okay. This is all very cool. So right at the moment, for Bitcoin, what time frame are you on there? You're on the.
It's going to reply something in the chat.
Oh, hey, daft. I know who you are. You're are you James? I think you're James, aren't you? You're James somebody.
Oh, in the group, in the Telegram group.
Yeah. Yeah, Defok. I think he's James. I think he is anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. Maff was saying, we had a lot of technical issues at the start, but Bristralian.
Okay.
Bristralian.
You must be up very, very late.
Very late or very early, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
In Australia, it must be about Monday morning by now, surely.
Right. Yeah.
No, not quite.
Early start to the day.
12. I know it's probably Sunday morning, isn't it? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Anyway, welcome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Whiskey o'clock. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. So, Maff has just been talking about, like manually putting in support and resistance lines at like areas of interest. Looking back in the past on a larger time frame, like the 4 hour, for example. Looking back in time, looking at when the price did something, when it either like reversed or whatever, so that's or even when the price goes up and it kind of like wiggles around at a certain price, because there's some resistance or something, they're all like points of interest which enable you to draw in these horizontal lines like what Maff has done here on the screen. And we've just been talking about that really. So all good.
Yeah. So having put the I guess the 4 hour liquidity zones into there, then having gone to the 1 hour, now I suppose we can put some more in, but not so much the whatever you call those, just horizontal lines. I guess we can kind of use trend lines drawing kind of shorter lines. So like here, probably here. That we almost don't need to draw this in because it's so obvious, but just to illustrate, maybe let's draw a shorter line. Maybe give it a fancy color. Do you think? Just to differentiate it a bit, to make it yellow. Actually, no, that let's do that. And it's kind of a channel. That's a very mini channel, isn't it? But it does look like it's just ranging its way through that at the moment. What do you think is going to happen there? I think it's just going to keep doing that for another few hours. At least until the US starts to wake up, the retail traders in the US.
Which is, going to be about 30 hours from now, isn't it? I would see what you mean. Regular retail.
Just retail. Like
I suppose.
Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah,
essentially.
The things I like is where we got the yellow and green EMAs now on like the 5 minute time frame. They've flipped over sort of bullish again, which is always a nice sign. Even though it's a very very short time frame. So that's looking good. And 5 minute, 12 minute, 12 minutes chopping around a bit, but it looks to me like it wants to go up a little bit, but it could sort of double bottom as well and go back down to sort of.
You're looking on the 12.
I am at the moment, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Momentum's kind of working its way up at the moment. It's not showing signs of stalling at the moment, is it? It's kind of.
I don't think so. No.
Even from back, from that whole run. Really.
Yeah.
And that's crossed over. Was that what you were saying?
On the
on the
which time frame?
Crossed up.
Yeah. I tend to look at for very fast moves. I tend to look at the 5 minute, but on the 12 minute.
Yeah.
The 12 minute they're flipping backwards and forwards a little bit. But I don't know. It looks all right. I think it's all quite healthy. The only thing I'm worried about is a lot of people are talking about these big wallets that have started moving like ginormous amounts of Bitcoin around. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Some wallets from like
I saw a
14 years.
headline. So, yeah, I think it's in the billions of dollars, isn't it? That
Yeah.
That they're worth. Yeah, it should be fun. I would imagine it'd be quite tradable in the sense of if we're currently in a trade, good to keep the stop loss fairly tight on that. And if something radical and unexpected happens, giganto sale of virtually all of those wallets, then awesome, because the price is going to leap, it's going to plummet probably, and then it'll kind of work its way back to where it wants to be. So
yeah,
often with those kind of I suppose technically, I don't know if they're really black swan events, black signet events. They're going to just, the price is going to be affected short term, and then it's going to just come back to where it wants to be. So that makes for hopefully quite a fairly predictable move over probably quite a high percentage of the price.
Yeah.
So it's the reaction to those unexpected moves that I think it makes them quite tradable. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to put like 40,000 Bitcoin on Coinbase and then just sell it and put it in the bank. I can't quite see that happening.
A bit crazy to do that.
Yeah, be nice.
I kind of hope they do, because I think that'd be. I mean, as I say, it'd be so tradable, and anyone still wanting to buy Bitcoin, be amazing opportunity to get in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, brilliant. Cool.
I guess so. Just to, I suppose, wrap this segment up a bit, I suppose. So in terms of, we've put in the support and resistance levels. Actually, I know we were just talking about, we were dissing trend lines a bit, but that's a fairly clear and obvious one, isn't it? You kind of see, I mean, if I extended that line all the way up, I think what's going to happen will happen before it really gets to the squeeze of that. But you can see something's going to happen. It's going to break out at that. So you can imagine that, and then down, and then probably up, maybe up. Just feel like up is going to be the thing, unless that crazy random unexpected thing does happen that everyone's expecting now.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Peter here is saying, actually, I'll put him on the screen. Hang on, there you go. He says very helpful lines on longer time frames to then look at shorter time frames. Yeah, that's exactly what Maff was talking about. Okay, so Dafuk is saying we've been base ranging for about 14 hours now, but definitely feels like there's upwards pressure. Was trying to form an upward pennant earlier. I reckon it will rumble for the weekend and punch out on Monday. Yeah, I think so too. Actually, I think that's that's what's. But sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say I suppose with the US market being closed Friday and part of Thursday, they're going to be raring to go, aren't they? It's like pent up buying energy, I hope.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
it's going to be a kind of explosion of buying, I would hope, on market open on Monday.
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
That's my hopium for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just flipping through my watch list here, and everything's looking pretty green today, anyway. So it's not like there's any problems at the moment. It's just everything's all right. The Middle East thing seems to have calmed down. I don't know. Are Trump and Elon, have they fallen out again? I think they have, haven't they, at the moment?
I kind of stopped tracking that a bit, to be honest. Such a lot of it just seems to be stage managed, I suspect.
I know. All I do with them two is if they have an argument, I buy some Tesla stock, and then when they make up, I sell it. And that's my strategy there.
Yeah,
it's worked out right.
I wouldn't put it past them that's kind of their strategy as well. They kind of know that they can control the market with these just random squabbles, random angry tweets or whatever.
It's a bit off and on, isn't it? Yeah, it's very sort of binary. It's very sort of like, full on or full off. It's
yeah. And, tends to be the sort of melodrama with villains and so on, moustache twirling villains, and that one's going to be the bad villain for the day or whatever. And it plays out like a bad drama,
Yeah. So I think, I don't know. I've kind of known quite a few couples like that, where 1 minute they're tearing each other's eyes out, and then the next minute they're sort of so lovey-dovey, it's unreal. It's like it's a bit like one of those relationships.
So what just happened? Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's always a funny one. But that's happening. I don't know. So I think generally it's like everything's just normal. That said, I mean, reasons for Bitcoin to go much higher. I mean, I suppose, I don't know. I mean, it's such an expensive asset, and it's amazing. It's like,
it's
like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Peter Thingybob, Peter, know what I'm talking about. Michael Saylor seems happy enough to buy it all the time, and people are going to keep buying their ETFs and all that. And
I mean, he's doing his pyramid scheme thing though, isn't he? He kind of has to stay bullish on it, keep pumping.
Yeah.
I think that the moment he stops being a permabull on Bitcoin, you expect everything to I was going to say the bubble to burst. I don't think it's so much that, but the market to crash for a while. I quite like the comment that Donnie and Elon sideshow pantomime to distract the dumb math. It's quite true.
Yeah, I think so. Cool. Have you got anything else you want to talk about, or
should we go through the news headlines list? I know we were kind of just talking about some elements of world events a bit, but just kind of fairly randomly line these up. I mean, this one was actually on TradingView. I just clicked the news thing on there, and I thought it was interesting. Analyst warns of volatile weekend. I don't know if we've particularly seen that. But, I mean, it's a fairly active weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of exactly the opposite of what I just said. So bearing in mind the fact that I'm quite often wrong, it's probably good, actually.
Well, I mean, usually it would be the case that the weekends would be just quiet and not great to trade on. I mean, I sort of wonder a bit if this would be if it might turn out to be a good weekend for scalping. I think once the US retail is weak, there's just a bit more trading volume in there. I mean, like, I just go to the 4 hour again, or maybe 1 hour. Should I say? When did the weekend start? Oh god, it's only just started, isn't it? Really. That if you count Friday afternoon, UK time, that was quite a start to the weekend. That plunge. Then
I mean,
having done that, I mean, is it just without the help of the US market? Is it then just going to do this for the weekend, or is it going to kind of at least come back to some level of where it was up there, or even kind of grind its way up to the but that's also why it seems like a fairly positive thing. So on Monday, just coming away from the weekend a little bit, I guess, looking at this, it's either going to do that, maybe down to that level, or that up to that level. Amazing technical analysis. It's just it's going to go up or down, but
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
talking about it being binary. That seems it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to a double bottom, coming down to that line you've got there.
Like this one here, yeah.
That would be all right, but what have I got? I've got tiny little long trade open. It's but I've got my stop loss in profit, so if it does wick down, that'll be all right. I'll just look for another one. But
do you want to screenshot that if you want to?
No, I don't actually, because it's a bit embarrassingly small actually. but my entry is 107,881, which is all right, I think. So it's not that far away.
107,881. Okay.
Yeah, it's not really far from where we are now, is it really? But
no.
So
with 8 there, about there, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was quite good. It was quite good for a sort of
0.3%, 36%.
Yeah. So I'm on. Actually, I'm on steady leverage, so it's 5% in profit. But sure. That's probably another reason I don't want to show it. I don't want to encourage people to use silly leverage.
It's just kind of fun occasionally playing that sort of slightly degen move. I think.
Oh, I do it sometimes with like very small accounts. I mean, basically what it was like it was in my BitUnix account where I'd actually moved out quite a lot of my USDT into my Blofin account, so I could do stuff over there. And so I basically left like nothing in the BitUnix thing, but I had a little bit of commission this morning, so there's like about $20 in there. So I thought I'd just do some silly leverage and see if I can turn $20 into like 100 or something. That was the idea. But if I do it wrong, I only lose $20. It's it's just that kind of thing, really.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of things. It's worth a punt every now and again.
Yeah, bit of fun.
But it's very much that case of as long as it's money that you're happy enough to lose.
If I lose $20, I'll be all right.
And you get like maybe an hour or two of slightly elevated levels of stress, entertainment, out of it. You pay more than that to go to the cinema, and get peril.
Yeah. No, I'm obviously slightly addicted anyway. So for not doing that, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be
probably doing some gardening or something.
Yeah.
Something relaxing. So I guess I was going through these. It was nice. So I'll go on to the next one. So why were they saying that there's going to be volatility in the we are indeed in the range, and they're kind of drawing pretty much what we were just talking about on there ish. So they're saying that it's probably a bit out of date now. It's a pivotal close. Okay.
I think it's just what somebody said and somebody wrote an article,
Yeah, I think it's one of those, isn't it? Let's go on to the next one. So, this one I thought was kind of interesting. Silent Heist, SIM swap attacks on people's phones, crypto wallets on smartphones. This one, I think is kind of a bit of a risk. Like, 'cause do occasionally, like on Discord, it was either on Stochastic or CSE, I think, where someone had posted on there saying that their Phantom wallet has somehow been drained, blah blah blah.
Right.
But I think that they may have accepted a particularly, bad permission, I give this account permission to drain my wallet, without necessarily realizing that was exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, I've had a few things. I've had two things recently where I've had a message on Telegram saying, "Hi, how are you?" It's kind of the initial thing. It's not like, I mean, they've obviously not watched my channel, or they don't know me from that. They just, they picked on me because my name is Save with Crypto, so it's got the word crypto in it. And I did it a few weeks ago where, like, I kind of, someone wanted to, they said they wanted to buy my name, my Telegram name off me, and they offered me a certain amount of Tron, I think it was, or something like that, and I don't know, I agreed some figure, and it was, I said, like, you can have it for 30 grand. I kind of knew it was a scam all along, and then what they did is they sent me a thing with a link to a smart contract, right? And that was the thing that would have drained my wallet, at which point I just sort of, obviously just deleted them and made a video out of it, as I do. I had one yesterday, and the one yesterday said, like, "Oh, I'm interested in buying your Telegram name," and I said, "Yeah, sure, 2 Bitcoin." And they said, "Oh, are you out of your effing mind?" And I went, "Just bye scammer," And I think that was going to be the same kind of thing again. They were probably going to send me a link to a thing, but I wanted to see if they were prepared to sort of offer me $200,000.
Yeah, just to test how far along can you string them along, essentially.
Yeah. I thought that would get rid of the riff.
Who blinks first in that sort of thing?
Yeah, I've got to get rid of the riffraff, really, sort of. Anyway, so there's a lot of that going on, but the sim swap thing. That's actually when somebody basically, so whoever you're with, I mean, say you're with, like, O2. So we'd say, like, with O2. Oh, I know what it was. It was, I think it was Eric Crown talking about it. I think it was.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was, because he was a bit worried about this, and he was saying the thing is, like, although if you try and do that kind of thing online, so say you're with, like, O2 or something, and you try and do it via the website, and you say, "Hello, I've lost my phone. I need to get another SIM card. It's O2 and the number is this number. My name is this," then they'll say, "Okay," and they'll do various things that are beyond the scope of most people to actually get to the bit where they can, issue you a new SIM card. But so that is all built into the online bit, where you just wouldn't be able to get that far. However, what Eric Crown was saying is that, sometimes, you go into a shop, like an O2 shop, or whatever the provider is that you might be using. You go into the actual physical shop, and you actually say, "I've lost my phone. I've lost, someone stole my bag. It had my passport and everything in it. I really need my SIM back." And at which point the employee in the shop is going to go, "I'm sorry, mate, I can't do that because you need this, that, and that." And they say, "Look, I'm really desperate. How about I give you 10 grand, or something like that." I mean, imagine saying that to some, kid who's working in the shop who probably gets like 12 grand a year. They would actually do everything. They would do everything they could to get you that SIM, wouldn't they? And he was saying, some people who know that a phone has got, like, 500,000 on it, they will quite merrily do that kind of thing and actually bribe someone to actually sort of bend the rules a bit and actually to issue you a new SIM. And of course, these days you can do it with, like, eSIMs, so you don't actually even have to have the physical thing. So you haven't got to post it to an address. You know what I mean? So
sort of, if an eSIM can be cracked, but just the simple fact that it's software means there's going to be some kind of attack, even whether it's a brute force attack or whatever on that. I'm sure that's kind of doable to some extent. But if there's something that's a bit better than a brute force attack, then so I was going to say social engineering for the shop floor assistants, but that it actually goes a bit beyond that, isn't it? Because it's not just, oh, come on, mate, I'm desperate. It's
well, I mean,
appealing to their, you know, to the dollar signs in their eyes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you could even say to him, you know, you could actually say, look, I've lost my phone, lost my passport. The phone has got like, you know, 10 Bitcoin on it. You know, if you can help me sort it out, I will give you, you know, I'll give you like 0.1 of a Bitcoin or something, you know. And you know what I mean? And that, for a lot of people, that would be like, bloody hell, yeah, okay. And
because the thing as well is with the 2FA stuff, like with Google Authenticator, Authy, and so on. I think because they're fairly sort of tied to a phone number, aren't they?
They are. Also, I believe one of the safest ways you can do stuff is to have the 2FA and then actually have it on a phone that hasn't got a SIM card in it.
Yeah.
And that works.
I've actually just have that as your carry around kind of security device. So,
yeah. Just like a user not. yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, I did ask Claude AI about Phantom, just if Phantom would be particularly or at all susceptible to this kind of SIM swap attack. It was saying generally, I mean, yes, but because of other reasons, other kind of factors and so on. But fundamentally, Phantom itself wouldn't be, because obviously it's based on a seed phrase. So you kind of it isn't just SIM access.
Right.
You kind of have to know the wallet's seed phrase as well, or kind of guess it or whatever, which is unlikely. But there'd be other factors in that, just around where there might just be some way to get hold of the seed phrase, like got access to someone's phone through the SIM card, then might also get access to their emails and so on, and anything else, and so. But not like, so if you're using Phantom Wallet or some other mobile wallet that's using a seed phrase, it's a lot more excuse me, it's a lot more secure than one that's just based on the SIM, on the phone number.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's that. This is kind of interesting, just going through news items. There was just a page, blah 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 blah. Actually, when was this? Oh, it says, I'm just going to reload the page. Was it actually 19 hours ago? 21 hours ago? Bitcoin did indeed lose 108k. Oh yeah, that was down to that happening. The market reacted, and it's sort of slightly pearl clutching, sort of, oh my gosh, kind of way.
And that's.
Are you there? Yeah.
And that's just a reaction on the rumor, you know. So.
Yeah. So I think Dafuk was saying in the chat, CME, because that 108 reminds me that CME closed at 108, 125. So we're flat as a witch's tit this weekend. Not much to play with on that front. So I guess if the price goes too far from 108, particularly far from it, then I guess at least on Monday we kind of know we got that possible correction coming, or like, you know, upward move. I guess the other point to discuss there is probably just how flat is a witch's tit. Should we have a 10-minute discussion on that?
Yeah, just trying to think of some of the witches I've known, actually. I wouldn't say they're all flat.
So there's that. I think that's probably covered. So big beautiful bill. Bitcoin may benefit. Don't know. Maybe. I think with this sort of thing, it tends to be just Bitcoin's just going to do what it's going to do, and then people will when it's this kind of macro condition type of thing, people will then attribute it after the fact, and it might just be standard TA style price moves and general sort of just kind of feeling about what they feel about the economy and the price at that point. So don't know about that.
Yeah, whatever really. I mean, what wasn't the S&P S&P 500 at like a all-time high last week or something? So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe the market's just getting a bit overcooked anyway. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, a lot of people are saying, Bitcoin's ready for a breakout, and I actually, I think if it goes beyond all-time high, then we could actually have some silly action, but I just don't know. It just seems like it's too. I never like it when it's over 100K. It just always seems a bit eerie and weird. I don't know.
But yeah, I guess it's all down to the sentiment, isn't it, at that point? Because I guess 100K plus is pretty expensive for a Bitcoin. But then what is a Bitcoin?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, I think it's the usual thing, isn't it, that if enough people feel that they can still profit a lot by buying at that level, that they've got confidence, then it's the price itself almost doesn't matter, apart from the psychological aspect. It's just is this an investment that's going to go up or an investment that's going to go down? I mean, maybe at some point they'll start talking about the price of Satoshis instead, or invent some intermediate. Maybe there are terms for like 1,000 Satoshis or something like that, or 100,000. Sort of half a crown or a groat or something like that. I think in terms of
I'm actually surprised you know what half a crown is, actually, because I know you're a little bit you're a little bit younger than me, and like it's a vague bit of my memory, but
I don't think I ever
you've never held one
with half a crown or anything. That was probably that was a bit before my time, I think. But I was just looking into it recently because I was just interested in, all of a sudden, it's like old money, like pre-decimal and so on, pre-sterling. I was just going to say, if like when we kind of start to hit the all-time highs and above, or start gaining the all-time highs and kind of ranging up there, and this is going to sound like an advert, because it probably is, but it's just I do think that Quadzilla will really come into its own when that happens, because we won't really have these. I mean, we won't have resistance lines to draw in, because there'll be nothing to base them on. And they'll be like, well, we can draw in some support lines, but they're getting further and further away, and for day-to-day trading, becoming a bit less and less relevant, at least for a while, until they suddenly become very relevant again at some point when the price comes back down. But while the price is up there, I think looking at momentum-based and trend-based indicators is kind of going to be where it's at, if trading at all at those levels.
Absolutely, I was just flipping out to the weekly time frame to have a look what it shows, and
sure,
I think it'd be quite good for
in those lines.
What's it done in the past? I mean, it'd be good to. So you see, like, the two recent red backgrounds. That's like They were both pretty decent tops. I suppose it was over quite a wide range there, wasn't it? You know, but yeah. So what you mean for looking for you know, tops and but for where it might top out, sort of thing? Is that the kind of thing you mean, or?
Yeah, I mean that and also just while it's zigzagging its way up,
Right.
sort of higher and higher. You know, just look at it.
Oh, I see.
opportunistically.
When you're in a blue sky breakout, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then
yeah, you've got no history.
having sort of, I mean, not even just Quadzilla, but just kind of momentum and trend-based indicators generally, I think, really come into their own for that. Just in terms of, this zigzag it's probably going to come around now, because it looks like it's going to come around. It's overbought, and it's running out of steam, and then the same for once it's zigged or zagged down a bit, and I think it's probably going to reverse now, and so on up. So yeah, when all of a sudden the resistance lines are not really kind of there to be drawn anymore, then suddenly this kind of thing becomes just the way to be trading, I think, if trading at all at that point.
Nice. Well, we are prepared. So So Dafuk is saying to your current chat, kind of looking forward to the bear market with Quadzilla. There will be gains to be made as we descend for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
Are we done? I think is that.
I think so. Actually, yeah. I want to probably head out and do a few things. Unless anyone's got any last things they want to say. Anyone in the chat? If anyone's still here.
I think so. I was going to chat a bit about trading bots, because I think that
okay.
There's some discussion on that in
Telegram.
In Telegram, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so actually, I'll just bring up Telegram here for my reference. It was sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce your name, Diogo. I hope that's right.
He's like a Diogo, isn't he?
Diogo, I think. Yeah. I think I'm not sure if you're watching, or if you're going to catch up later or something. But I think you were saying about you've been doing some back testing with bots and so on, doing some like getting good results, I think, with bots, until there was a major crash from the end of 2024 and beginning 25. And but generally, yeah, I think sort of quite often you sort of get a bit of a run of good results with a trading bot, and then suddenly there's a run of bad results. They tend to be like good for a particular set of market conditions, and then they don't really work so well on a different set of market conditions. But generally you don't really find that out until you're sort of well into the not so good set of market conditions. So, but I think just personally, I don't really get the obsession with trading bots. Anyway, I mean, I say that having had something of an obsession with them as well, so I should get it. But it feels like, I think for many traders, and including, I mean, I'm including me in that, for a while, it seemed like it was kind of a pipe dream to have this kind of trading bot that just kind of dives in there, opens the trade, closes the trade, just makes money over time. But I don't know, as I say, I was one of the ones who dreamed of pipes. Is that the wrong way to put it? I'm not sure. But yeah. But I don't know, I think that then just looking at the overall percentage they might gain over time from the many ups and the many downs, the bot's successes and failures, it probably cancel each other out a bit. I mean, if you put your money into an index fund, or high performing cash ISA, I mean, that if the UK government doesn't go ahead and tax raid the ISAs in this country, but if so yeah, just doing something like that, it's probably going to outperform what a trading bot might achieve in the long run anyway. And I do think, like, just to get some level of automation, but I think as a trader, you probably really want to still have some serious input into what the trading entity, the trading thing, what's going on with your trades, I think is what I'm trying to say. So like automate with limit orders and partial take profits and stop losses and trailing stops and so on. So like planning out a trade, like, okay, I mean, I guess we were talking earlier at the start about setting up a limit order with a stop loss and then walking away and obviously take profit and then come back and see how it played out. That's kind of the level of automation that we should probably want from a trading bot anyway. Because if it's more than that, then I can think, well, what, why a trading bot? Why not copy trading, which obviously never seems to work out great anyway from people's reports on that. Or as I say, from just putting the money to use elsewhere, so something that's going to more reliably kind of bring gains in. But just I would say if you're trading, you should be doing it because you want to be in control of your trades. That's my feeling on it. And like automate to an extent, but very much be in control.
My thoughts about it is I've tried using trading bots on ByBit and also BitGet, I think it was, and they've been fairly basic bots. They've been like grid bots. So so for a start, what they do is they buy as the prices fall. They basically go long as the price is falling, and so you always start off like kind of quite negative, and then the price recovers, and then they go back into profit. So it always seemed to me that I'd be looking at what they did, and I thought I could have got a better entry than that, because they basically longed the top, because there was
it's like they're virtually designed to get a bad entry just literally by design, and then just sort of average in as the price is descending. So they'd have to be very low leverage, I suppose.
So my initial thought about bots generally was like, if you were going to use them, you need to use them because you do want to walk away and just let it do it itself, and you're prepared to take the consequences. And secondly, it's handy if you can sort of like, be able to jump in there, take over, and then fix it if it's gone wrong, whether that be, by averaging down or, I don't know, changing your margin, that sort of stuff, So you need to actually understand how to trade. So I would say to people who sometimes that they're very attracted to people who don't know how to trade, and I think that they know, you shouldn't use a bot because you don't know how to trade. You should understand at least what trading's all about, and have done it a little bit anyway. But also, when you get more complicated stuff, like the stuff that Eric Krohn does, where he uses quite complex strategies, he'd be looking for certain things. So say for our, in our example, we'd have like Quadzilla, we'd say like, if it's a green background on the 1 hour time frame, and the the EMAs are in a they're not in a too strong a downtrend, then it's probably a good time to go long. you know, so enter then.
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of thing, you know, that'd be more of a complex kind of bot type thing, and it would probably work out okay actually, but you know, you'd spend quite a lot of time actually sort of working out the strategy, back testing it, and then hoping that the past data, you know, happened again in the future. The problem I've always got unstuck on is when there's been some sort of, not exactly a black swan, but like some kind of like, you know, things happened and the market's dumped like 10% or something like that, and the bots can't handle it, you know, and then you end up underwater for months, and then you're thinking, oh, I wish I wasn't in that trade, you know. So there's that. But also, you know, if you've got a killer bot that makes money all the time, why would you tell anyone about it? You know, yeah, it's, I don't know. But it's
there is that aspect to it. I
believe a lot of the quant trading and stuff, you know, done in like more traditional markets like Forex and stuff like that. I believe there are, like, you know, incredibly complex programs doing bot trading, and they're doing this high frequency trading where they're doing like, you know, sort of, you know, like hundreds of trades per minute.
That's quite different for definite, because it's an entirely different thing, I say. I mean, I think from our point of view, we're looking at it from a retail point of view.
Yeah.
Like, we want it to be generating beer money for us, so we can just go and party up at the weekend or whatever. But yeah, high frequency trading, algorithmic trading, and so on. That topic absolutely fascinates me, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an entirely different thing, and it needs such a lot of price volatility and a lot of trading volume as well. And it also gets kind of crazy to the point where I remember with a lot of these the banks doing this trading, they sort of try and locate as close as possible to the exchange, so that the signals take less time to travel physically between the two. This kind of thing. That might be less so now, I think. You know, networks use it on it quite a lot since then. But
yeah. That said, I have in the past used 3 commas. That's like the number 3 commas.com. I have used that service where what you can do with that, you can create webhooks that work with an API with your exchange. So I think I was using it with ByBit at the time. And then when you create an alert in TradingView, you can, on the notifications tab on that, you can put in a webhook URL and then a command, and you can actually automate stuff from TradingView. Now I have done this in the past. I have done that in the past, and I'm actually tempted to sort of at least make a few videos about how to do that and see if it works a little bit. But the way I'd want to do it, I'd want to do it for things like, you know, getting a good entry, and then after that regarding it as a manual trade, and I'll just take over and, you know, I'll close it manually or decide when to close it. I don't really want to get to the stage where it's opening and closing on its own, but I definitely would consider using some sort of automation to get a good entry, especially if I was kind of going to sleep and I thought, hey, it might dump overnight. And, you know, you probably noticed that, you know, the middle of the Asian session, which is for us is about like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe even later, like 4 o'clock. You know, if you're gonna get some volatility, it's normally about then, isn't it? You know, and then you wake up and think, what the hell happened?
Quite often wake up in the morning, have a quick look at the price chart. Not the very first thing I do, but among the first things I do when waking up, things to check and so on. It's just and yeah, quite often look at that and think like, oh god, I wish I'd been awake then to set that, you know, just set a trade going at that point, because there's a clear price move that, you know, could have caught. Really.
Yeah. So for that thing, if, you know, if you could sort of like, if you had an idea, I think it's going to do this, but I want to automate my entry, and I can see that being useful as well. So maybe I will make some videos about that kind of topic in the future. I think that'd be quite
Yeah,
quite a fun thing to do, actually.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I mean, with because I kind of was looking a bit at the webhooks, because obviously, like from Blofin, setting that up to work with TradingView.
Actually, with Blofin, you don't even need to do
through the API and so on.
Well, you can do it straight from. If you can create this might be something that you're good at. If you can create a strategy in TradingView, then you can actually use that strategy directly with Blofin. In there, you can actually create a bot using the strategy, and you don't have to use like 3 commas or anything like that. You don't have to use any third party, which is obviously better, because that's the less people involved, the better, really. So, have you seen that in Blofin?
Yeah, I mean, probably bring it up actually. Just remember exactly. Or have you got a link or something?
No. Look, if you can pop in there, I can show you where it is.
Maybe I don't want to log into Blofin right now.
Oh, okay.
On the wrong thing, but yeah, just
I'm on the wrong computer as well.
Sure, it's definitely doable. I mean, also because I was looking at where maybe I go to indicators and such. Yeah, I remember putting in like a looking at TradingView strategies and so on. I think there was, because I was interested in how well with the EMAs, how well it would work if it simply opened a position when the 21 is kind of crossing over or under the 55.
Right.
And yeah, the opening was good. I mean, I'll just, against our better judgment, just going into this, there is some just kind of very hacked about code in this bit. I'll just temporarily move it. And this is from a while back as well. But yeah, you sort of end up with things like that, total P&L minus, anything that says minus, instantly off to not great start. But then the idea being that I guess you can just fine tune it and trying to figure out how to make that not to be a minus. But it's just out of curiosity. But then it became obvious that it's actually closing the position reliably in a profit, which is the key. I think I had the wrong key. It wasn't fitting the lock. But yeah, so
how do you
using something like this, maybe something.
Sorry. How do you set up that strategy to do that?
It's just another script. So when you create a TradingView script, it can be either an indicator or a strategy.
Okay.
And then in the same way that you might set up an alert in an indicator script, you can just equally tell it to to open a trade, and then you can kind of tell it. You can have like several trades open within the same thing, but they I think remember they kind of propagate together. They accumulate, but it depends how you set it up within the script. So yeah, it's the same stuff, really, the same scripty stuff through PineScript, but just kind of a different sort of script container, really, about whether it's like which one it is. But the way it goes about it is essentially the same, with the same sort of TA functions within the script and so on,
right?
As the indicator. So yeah, it's I think if that was being used as a way to get a good entry, so I think it would need to be a bit more elaborate than simply when do these two EMAs cross each other. If there's that plus a few other things, then essentially what we've got on Quadzilla, plus including that, you could use that to automate some good entries. Because I do think back to talk about like maybe what attracts traders to trading bots. I think I suspect that a lot of the time it's just the thing about getting a good opening. If someone can get a good opening, then if the bots can do that for them, then as you were saying, the nice thing would be that to just kind of then take it from there. So a lot of time it is just closing a position at the right time. It just seems when you're back testing, that's when you get sort of the terrible results. Is if you sort of think, well, okay, I'm gonna you can set it to, because the problem is that there's then no real like human judgment in it about when's a good time to close. Do I let this run on a bit? So if you set it, you can automatically set a trailing stop within it, or you can just get it to close out as soon as it's a certain % in profit, and so on. But then you end up with it kind of closing at this. Say if it opens here and it closes there, and obviously it misses all of that, and up and up and up. And then it doesn't sort of
at that time there might be like
all the way down here again.
Yeah, sure. And of course at that time there might be like some excellent news going on or something like that, or you know, which the bot obviously knows nothing about. Yeah.
So I think that they're generally great in not even in principle. They're great in pipe dream land. But and also a lot of fun to play around with. I would say. It's very, very absorbing getting into the details of all of that stuff. But it's getting good results. I think it needs to be kind of a full-time thing to get kind of decent results, I think.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, there's lots of things we can play with and experiment with in the future, and see how we go and all that, and that's brilliant. Right. I think we're done already. I think we've been done an hour and a half. I think that should be enough to keep YouTube happy at least.
Yeah, for sure.
But thanks very much for coming along and talking about all that. And for anybody who was here at the start, or anybody who's re-watching and wonder what the hell was going on at the start, I'm really sorry about that. It is because I've got bad internet here at the moment, and slight bit of user incompetence as well. but next time I'll get better at it, and it'll be like a well-oiled machine one day. And but still a bit new to it. But anyway, right, thanks for everyone for coming. If you are still here, please do give the stream a like and leave a comment or whatever, and we'll speak to you soon. All right, shall we? Right, that's it. Shall I say goodbye?
Sure.
Anyway,
yeah.
So I could do it Eric and Morecambe style. So it's good night from me, and
good night from me.
I can't remember how it went. But anyway, right, we're going to go. All right, take care, everyone, and see you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.